Alright guys, so now we are back with the showdown between the Beastmen, who shall be led by KHAZRAK One-Eye atop his mighty chariot, and the Skaven, who shall be helmed by the filthy Claw. Well, I guess he's probably not as filthy as like Skrulk and other characters, but you guys get the picture. He's a rat, etc, etc. So as far as the matchup goes, we're going to be trying to put the Blitz on the Skaven very, very fast, and I actually a little bit over-accounted for the Doom players. The Razorgore herds are actually quite good against Doom players, so they have good mass, they have good armor piercing, and they're also large, so the Doom players' massive bonus versus infantry isn't going to help them against the Razorgore herds. So in total we have 3 Razorgore herds in the back. We do also have a Manticore Summoner with the Flock of Doom against Skaven blobs, just in case. A couple groups of Centaurs as well, so Centaurs here, and then we have a massive Vanguard. So I was like, okay, we need to get on the Skaven quick, so let's put KHAZRAK way away from the gunfire, put him in the back with a couple groups of Centaurs, and I still think, I mean, yes, the Great Weapon Centaurs are good here against Doom players and Doom wheels, but I think more often than not, you're going to be seeing Skaven gun teams or a combination of both. And I think these guys are just a little bit safer. So we do have a couple of the standard Centaurs with shields. We also have some pretty substantial Vanguard plays. So in the back, we have 2 Ungors back here. The whole front line is Vanguarded as well, which is going to be Gore herds with shields. They've already gotten a decent little push here on the Skaven slaves. Maybe we'll be able to get into the back line, hard to say. 3 Raiders as well. The Raiders, I was like, okay, maybe we can poke in here. But then I remembered, for some reason, I assumed Natty Boo sharpshooters and Rattling Gunners were lightly armored, but they're actually not. They have 70 armor, so the Raiders aren't going to be quite as good as I thought, but we're still going to try and make them work. And that's pretty much it for my army. So for the forces of Professor Pone, he's got Gutter Runners, he's got Skaven slaves across the entire front line just to kind of tar pit me, which is great. Rattling Gunners are just going to Pound Town here on the Gore herds. I think he has 2 Rattling Gunners in total. I think he has 1 of the high ground, and he does also have the Natty Bubo sharpshooters. And I like this. He's got the elite troops in the back, so once he softens me up with the Skaven slaves and the gunfire, he will be sending in the Plague Monks and the heavy hitters. Rat Ogres across the entire back line, which should be okay against Centaurs. More Plague Monks up at the high ground, and I believe Thicket Claw is going to be on his Doom Wheel, which is always very tough for, Beastmen to deal with. I do actually also have some Minotaurs in the back. I brought the Butchers of Kalkengard with the silver shields, and I was just like, if he goes with an elite Doom Wheel build, I think I'll be good if I bring the Minotaurs, but if he goes with a gun build, they're not going to be as good, but at the very least, they have silver shield. So it's kind of like a, this for that kind of thing. Anyways, the fight is underway, and very, very quick stuff here. You can see that the Gore herds in the front are going to be beating down the Skaven slaves, and I've already broken through the front line a little bit. So these guys are going to be surging into the back here, just running forward with their shields up. The Ungor herds are going to be shooting into the Rattling Gunners as well, and it does some decent damage. Not a ton, but it's not terrible either. And the Baconators are just going to be waiting, getting ready to charge into the back line. So in the meantime, KHAZRAK and company do a big rear charge, but the Rat Ogres were hiding in the trees and were able to kind of intercept me. So the herd is going to be slamming into the back of the Bacon elsewhere. Or the rats or the rat kebabs, whatever you guys want to call it. So we get into the back of those Skaven slaves. Should be able to break them up, but not a great situation. I mean, the Rattling Gunners are a great tool against these type of units. Centaurs are having to run from the Rat Ogres and Spears. And now we're going to be pushing in the Minotaurs to intercept and help out a little bit. Now, in the meantime, we do get some good pressure here. We get the Razorgore herds on top of the gun teams. Back here, we're able to get on top of the gun teams as well. And he has pulled his clan rats with Spears. Those guys are doing some pretty solid work. And he's been doing a really good job using his Rat Ogres in the back line. So he was very vigilant back here. Probably expecting some sort of Beastmen shenanigans for me, but the Brass Orb going down right here, doing huge damage against the Gore herds and actually might allow these clan rats to win this fight, which would be pretty ridiculous. So the Doom Wheel here is going to be searching back in. I do summon a Manticore as well, which I believe was the first Manticore I've summoned, so it's going to be jumping on top of the Doom Wheel, trying to put him down here. And now I'm going to be using the Raiders to shoot at Rat Ogres, which is a little bit more of an optimal target. And finally, we have an alley to get into the back line. So we're going to be sending KHAZRAK after these guys, and we're going to be sending these guys to try and get onto the Natty Bubosh. But the Clan Vulcan Tail Slashers plus the Rat Ogres able to intercept me pretty efficiently. But Big Papa KHAZRAK's having a good time. At the very least, he's able to get down these weapons teams and is doing a good job. But it's been very tough to really penetrate the Skaven back line. The Gutter Runners with Poison have been a great sweeper unit. The Rattling Guns just, doing the work of the Dark Horned Lord there. But for the most part, it's not going bad. Bounce power is relatively even, though I do have a Manticore summon. We're able to get the Minotaurs and the Manticores to start beating down Claw, and this is a great opportunity here. If I can kill Claw or at the very least get him low, I think that's going to change the dynamic of this battle, which so far I think has favored the Skaven a little bit. The Raiders here are going to be shooting downtown into the Rat Ogres, just doing a bit of a hurt on those guys. KHAZRAK and company up on the high ground were able to actually finish off a Rattling Guns team, or at the very least break them. The Clan Vulcan Tail Slasher is not able to do too much, but I probably should have chased those guys off the battlefield, but at this point I felt a little bit desperate. I was like, I need to just pressure everywhere. KHAZRAK does get a nice little rear charge into the Rat Ogres and actually breaks a group of 12, so a couple things going okay here. And the bounce power with that is going to be normalizing, and you can see up on the high ground, Thicket Claw is actually a little bit beat up. He's taking a lot of damage from the Bacon and the Minotaurs, so the Minotaurs are certainly paying for themselves to some extent. Now over here, the Ungor herds or the Gore herds were able to kill the Skaven slaves. And we do have a fight between Rat Ogres and some of the Baconators, which is most certainly going to favor the Rat Ogres. They're designed to kill those type of units. And the second Summon Manticore is going to be coming down. I certainly need this because the battle is very, very pitched here. So the Manticore needs to come in and make some plays right now. KHAZRAK's still riding dirty on his chariot. And you know what? Old KHAZRAK hasn't been doing too bad for me. I don't want him fighting Ikit Claw head-to-head because Ikit Claw just has much better AP and is probably a better duelist on top of his Doom Wheel. But for the most part, you know, KHAZRAK's been doing some work. He does have the Apocalyptic Vision and the Deadly Onslaught, so just trying to chase off the weapons teams because they're really just the thing that have been terrorizing me this entire game. Now, if we take a big old look at the battlefield, the Raiders have fallen back a little bit, going to be shooting in the Rat Ogres. I do have my Braycaster fighting against Plague Monks down here, and also some Gore Herds fighting against Plague Monks on the other side. But the Plague Monks are starting to pay their dues here in the late game. The Minotaurs have fallen back as well because they were just taking a pounding, and they do have regeneration as well. So, okay, let's let them regenerate and see what he can do. But this was a really bad situation, and you can see the bounce fire is pretty normal right now, but the fact that the Rat Ogres came back in, they cleaned up my supporting elements here, and Thicket Claws is just out-dueling KHAZRAK heavily, so very, very bad situation for me. I'm starting to take a lot of damage, and with KHAZRAK taking this type of damage, I think it's going to really let the game go in the favor of the Skaven a little bit at this point. Granted, I still can come back here. The Feral Manticore up on the high ground is doing a pretty good job shutting things down, and KHAZRAK's going to be able to slip away, but that damage was certainly a lot, and KHAZRAK for Ikit Claw really didn't take too much damage right there. So from here, I'm going to be trying to escape with KHAZRAK, sweeping into the back, trying to stabilize the situation. The Braycaster and company doing pretty good against Plague Monks. Plague Monks are getting a little bit beat up, and yeah, it's an even battle, but I would say Skaven have a slight advantage. You still have a couple missile troops. They have the sharpshooters up on the high ground, which can probably pick off KHAZRAK, to be honest. And you can see the Summon Manticore with the new nerfs is going to be disappearing, so obviously my opponent here, the great Professor Pone, is not relying as much on the summons as I am. The Manticore summons weren't able to finish off the troops on the high ground. Now the Rattling Guns and Jezzails are going to be able to just sit on top of KHAZRAK, which is tough, and I can't really close the distance too easily. I mean, Ikit Claw is going to be able to tear out a lot of my troops. I have some anti-mass in the Butchers of Kalkengard, but I feel like he's going to be able to just pick those guys off. So KHAZRAK and company just riding over here, just baconing them, having a good old time. You can see KHAZRAK's taking a couple of those sniper shots in the back, which I'm sure is fun for him. We're going to be pushing the Minotaurs up to screen out these Rat Ogres to try and get these Raiders back, but you can also see that the Plague Monks in the back are causing a bit of disruption. In the meantime, the Rats are shooting at something over here. I don't know what they're shooting at. Was there like some... I guess I must have had some Centaurs back here that were causing a little bit of an issue for my opponent. Unfortunately, in the front, the Bray Shaman with the Lore of Beast does kind of get beaten down by Ikit. He's, like I said, very powerful on his Doom Wheel, and Doom Wheels aren't bad against infantry. And like units, they have, I mean, they're good against infantry, so the Bray Shaman is going to be a pretty good target for him. The bonus for his infantry will come into effect. But we are stabilizing the back line. Rat Ogres are taken out here. You can see the Clan Vulcan Tail Slashers are going to be moving forward. So at this point, we're going to be surging KHAZRAK forward and the Minotaurs, and we're going to be trying to take these guys out. Unfortunately, the charge does get broken by some of my own Minotaurs, so a little bit of sloppy play, but Skaven are pretty beat up across the board, but one thing that Pone's done, he's done a very good job of like breaking back the troops that are beat and making sure they don't fully rout off. And unfortunately, my Bray Shaman is going to be getting rode over here. The Gutter Runners are going forward. The Rattling Gunners are going forward. There's just a ton of pressure just making its way over in my direction, which is a little bit scary. So the Plague Monks here, just getting Last Samurai pretty bad. Going to be getting worked down here. The Minotaur is going to be punting some of these rats, and you can see with the charge of the Minotaurs, those guys are just like, screw the shit, I'm out of here. KHAZRAK's trying to hold it down, but you know what? Old KHAZRAK is, I think he's going to be getting melted by these Rattling Gunners, most likely. The Jezzails are out of ammunition, and I believe I fully chased off one team of the Rattling Gunners, so we're going to be making just a Last Samurai charge here, just going in there, just trying to fight it out. KHAZRAK's going to be cleaning up the back of these clan rats, and maybe if we can get like a mass terror route or something, but I feel like Ikit Claw is just going to be such a nightmare. So a little bit of fast forwarding as there's some grinding here. KHAZRAK One Eye is going to be going back, trying to rally some of these troops. Rat Ogres do come in from the flanks, which is going to be disastrous. Rat Ogres are like a counter against type like Chariots. Chariots just don't do well against like high mass units, so with that, that's pretty much going to be it, and the Skaven hordes are going to be closing in, so very well played to Professor Pone. It was a super fun game, and I have to say, he played super well. He was able to utilize the Rattling Gunners very efficiently. He dealt with my Vanguard harass very efficiently. He just had an awesome game and did very, very well. Now, there's a couple things about the build that I think I would change in retrospect. That was my first time playing Beastmen against Skaven. I had seen it done, but after experiencing it myself, I was expecting more Doom Flayers and like things like that, but he did go with weapons team, so I think I have to respect both options a little bit more. So, KHAZRAK I would probably cut. I think he's too much of a liability against weapons teams. He really just didn't... I mean, yes, 119 kills, but most of it was against Skaven slaves and chaff. He really didn't pay for himself. So there's a couple things I would change, but yeah, it was decent. I would say it was an okay build. And Professor Bone's build was great. It was a very heavy weapons team. He did have some Doom Wheel action. And yeah, no real complaints here. I thought it was nice kind of mixing in the Plague Monks to kind of grind down the Beastmen chaff. So very well thought out. So as far as what I would change in my build, having done the matchup now, so let's go ahead and take a look here. So we're going to go to custom battle and let's go to the Beastie Boys. I think Beastmen actually have a good matchup versus Skaven because they can close the distance very quick. Number one, I'd probably go with good old Morker. I think Morker is going to be way better, and Chaos Spawn summons just blitzing everywhere is like overwhelming. We're on the right direction, I think, with just spamming gore herds, but I think it needs to be even more so. So we're going to get, you know, these guys, because the gore herds were like the most efficient element. And against weapons teams, these guys are just going to like just be so strong. I didn't have enough of them last game, I don't think. Now, as far as the Vanguard play, I'm probably not going to go too crazy into that, but I do think getting Centaurs and just trying to overload Skaven with mobility is very, very strong. We'll get a couple Poison Hounds. There just needs to be more angles of pressure. Now, I do think a couple Razorgore herds are very essential against the Doom players, but I don't think you need as many. I think the Doom players mixed in with Centaurs and Chaos Spawn summons and that kind of stuff is going to be pretty good. The Manticore summon is still pretty strong. I'm trying to think if there's anything that I think would be better. I think maybe just getting a Deathcaster would actually be a little bit more optimal. And you probably don't need the Fate of Una, but just like Spirit Leech, and you can get like Aspect of the Dread Knight just to terror out stuff. Spirit Leech spam on top of Ikit Claw and the Doom Wheels I think is going to be way better. So I think we're already going in the direction of a more competitive build here. We can also get the Sons of Goros. Harpies aren't going to be bad either. Harpies might be a decent choice, but they will get... I mean, just like volume of pressure is really, really important. So I think even going to something like this, when we cut these guys, get the Sons of Goros. Oh, man, I hate when that happens when you're like that close, but we'll just get some regular hounds. So a build like this, I think, would be highly competitive against New Skaven. It has a couple really good options against, you know, the infantry in the front. You have a ton of gore herds to pressure in. They'll be able to win most of their fights. You can Spirit Leech spam Ikit Claw and kill him. You have 3 standard Centaurs plus Poison or plus Hounds to get into the back line, plus 2 Harpies. That's like so overwhelming for a Skaven gun line. I don't think they would be able to stop it. Most players they would. And just in case they do go with a Doom Wheel spam, you have Razorgores, plus you have the Sons of Goros and Chaos Spawn and all that kind of good stuff. So I think it would work pretty well. So very well played, opponent. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this game, and we will see you guys next time. Take care.